Hi everyone, we're live. Welcome to Spill the Kopi with me, CuddlyBossLady. And today we have Mr. Daniel Bego,
The very
um,
bald Mr. Daniel
the
Bego.
very bald and, controversial statement of bald men make better swimmers. We will have to discuss that later. Um, if you guys want to ask him questions, please throw it in the comments. And, well, let's not start a flame war either in the comments. But yes, let us begin. Thank you, Daniel, for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Um, and let's, as usual, we talk a little bit about how you started on your swimming journey.
Okay, sure. So do I just jump in?
No. Yeah, of course. Just start talking.
Okay. Well,
Okay.
as far as I can remember, I think I started swimming. Well, I could swim by the age of 5. And that's because back in Miri, people don't know, Miri is a very, very small town. Well, it is a city now. It became a city in 2005. But yeah, back then it was just a small town. Still is. There's not a lot of things to do. So one of the things that my parents did was to, on the weekends bring us to the swimming pool and, just to exercise, have fun and things like that. And then my sister, Kimberly, if people don't know, Kimberly Yup is my sister. She will say that I'm her brother, but she's my sister. She started swimming first. Then every time she went for training, I would tag along and I would play in the public pool. And then one day, Coach Zali, her coach, was like, "Your brother seems to be quite okay in the pool. Does he want to join us?" And that's when I started. So I think it took 2 years after that for me to actually, properly get into training. So when I was about 7 years old, that's when I trained like 3, 4 times a week. Yeah, just to have fun, meet some new friends and things like that. Then from there, I got a little bit more serious around 9 years old because that's when I unexpectedly won my first medal in swimming. 9 years
Ah.
old at our Miri age group. I remember it was in the 50-meter backstroke. I was in the second last time final. I swam it, I got up, I continued playing with my friends, and then an older friend of mine came and was like, "Hey, you beat me." I was like, "Okay." And then you
It's
won.
like,
I
yeah,
was like, "Oh,
whatever.
okay." So
It's
yeah.
like, yeah, carry on playing. Right.
Mm. So that's when yeah, so that was the start of things, I guess. So went to a few more competitions. Then at 10 years old, uh, no, actually, I was 9. I was 9 when I went to my first national age group. It was that same year. Yeah, the year I won my first medal, and then I went to national age group. Uh, did quite well, I think. Got a couple of medals. No, I didn't start shaving when I was 9.
Oh, you hadn't worked out the streamlinedness of the.
Exactly, exactly. So yeah, then that was it. It was then, and then I just continued going and going and going. Parents were a very big part of my success. Obviously, I think my dad would be a very rich person now if he didn't have to spend on me and my sister. So I'm sorry, Dad, but oh well.
Yeah, you know, they're. Oh, EJ. Hey, EJ.
AJ, AJ.
So, if I remember correctly, you relocated from. You basically changed state um, somewhere.
Yeah. So at the age of 11, where the year I turned 11, I was selected to go into the Anapanawa Sports School in Johor. So my parents moved with me. So if there are any parents watching, yeah, that's the dedication that my parents had, you know. So they moved with me just to make sure everything was okay. Um, yeah. So after Johor, I spent 2 years there up until I was 13. So the year I turned 13, sorry, yeah, no, 13, I went back to train in Sarawak for a year for Sukma. And then from there, I was selected into the national team at 14. And again, my parents just uprooted themselves and then moved to KL. And I've been here ever since.
That's, I mean, that's what parents will do if needs be, right? That
Hmm.
if it's something that you're passionate about, or they feel that
Hi, Keenan.
the Keenan.
Sorry, comment.
Yeah, I saw that.
Oh my goodness.
Hi, Keenan, who doesn't do his dryland homework all the time.
All the time.
Yeah. Oh, I see Roshan there too.
Yep.
Hey, Roshan. Your new nickname.
I think this is karma. This is karma. I used to make fun with a lot of my like friends who were like Bota, and I used to call them Bota all the time, and then yeah, this happened.
That's what Clement told me.
So yeah, what goes
Once.
around comes
Yeah.
around. Just remember
Yeah, he
that.
said that it's gonna be like, yeah, you used to make fun of me when I used to have the, as you do when you were
No, actually, I
little.
never made fun of Clement, believe it or not.
Well, apparently, he said that you did. Oh, that's a.
No. I remember
Oh.
we had a pretty intense rivalry. I will say that. Like, I think back when we were like group three, I think we started this thing at group three, group four, group three, going into group two. Um, we were yeah pretty much head to head in everything.
Was he a
So
flyer like you? I mean, did you?
I mean, we swam everything together. We swam from the freestyles to the breaststrokes to the backstrokes to the fly together. At that point in time, at that age, we just swam everything.
Yeah, you did. I mean, it's like, well, in my case, it was whoever unintentional planage. Whoever didn't want to swim that event, apparently we'd swim it. So,
Mhm.
but yeah, I mean, when you made, obviously, was it 14? You said national team. I mean, and then you had to relocate. I mean,
Yeah.
that would have been an adjustment for you,
Um,
right?
yeah, definitely. I think just because I moved to Johor, moved back to Sarawak, and then I moved to KL. Hi, Awa. How are you? Anyway, so yeah, so I think I was quite used to swimming. I mean, quite used to switching around. So I was not really that bothered. It didn't take me long to adjust or anything like that. Um, the only thing that took me a bit of time to adjust was the food, I think, because I couldn't have my kolomi anymore.
Yeah, it's not the same, right? I mean,
It's not the same. It really goes.
yeah.
Hi, Polly. So yeah, it's really not the same. But we do have, I think, so a little bit of free advertisement for Auntie Christina here, I think. So I go to Auntie Christina, the one in, what was it? CPOC. Yeah, in PJ.
Ah,
Yeah, quite a lot. To me, I feel like she has the closest thing. I mean, obviously she's Sarawakian. Yeah, she flies her noodles in, her kolomi in, I think every morning or something like that. So yeah, they're pretty close to the authentic one, if not
oh,
if they are not authentic. Yeah.
we tried the 7th Mile one.
Oh, okay.
That's pretty decent too. Apparently.
I
So
got you.
I'm told. I just eat stuff, you know. It's like hard to get authentic Penang prawn and char kway teow and
Yeah.
um,
So yeah, that was the only adjustment, and then I think training wise, I've
training's training, right? I mean,
yeah, training is training. I've always been the type to I guess, make sure that I train to the best of my ability. Yeah.
I mean, the intensity would be different, would it not?
This is the thing that it's a good thing that you brought that up. I think, you know, this is where I always say, swimmers make coaches, not the other way around. It really depends on how hard the swimmer or the athlete wants to push themselves. You can turn an easy day into a very, very hard session if you're willing to, and you can turn a very, very hard set to the easiest thing in the world. So for me, it was just, I just always wanted to go fast. I just always wanted to train hard. For some reason, I think I was a bit insane, I think, now looking back.
Well, I do. Well, I will say nothing. I don't think it's changed.
No.
But I mean, like you said, it's hunger is probably not the right word to you. I mean, we're always hungry, but if you have the determination, or you are like, okay, I got to train. I do the best that I can in training, or accept that some days in training you're gonna have a bad day. You're gonna have,
Of course.
all those different things, but sometimes when you're 14, or you're like, okay, train, la 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 la, you do your thing because coach says do this, and you
Correct.
do that, and then you're swimming along with others, right? Everybody is suffering alongside you, and it makes a tremendous difference. I think, anyway. It's
Oh,
like
definitely.
suffering together in that. Was Kimberly also the same batch as or around, or
Well, she
is that
was
correct?
Kim was a batch before me, I think, or two batches before me, I think. So Kim actually joined the national team in 1999. Yeah, went for her first SEA Games and then went to the first SEA Games in Brunei, and then in 2001 was the KL SEA Games. Yeah, so then after that, there was another batch in the national team before I came in. So I would say two batches above me. Yeah.
So I mean, obviously, yes, Sora consumers are always very fast.
Sorry.
It's, the Sora consumers are always very fast.
Well, we have nothing else to do, and
We
we
have
have to swim. We have to swim to school. We have to get into the Rajang River to, swim across it to
all the
get.
crocodiles
Ah,
and
exactly. Okay.
yeah, that's what we say. They have the boya to pace them, so therefore,
Mhm.
that's
Exactly.
gonna.
No,
And
I
then
think
yeah,
that's actually now I don't know if I'm going to trigger some people about this, but or some
oh,
kids about this. But I think one of the reasons why, especially younger athletes, Sama and Sarawak do produce quite a few. One, I feel like because back then, or even maybe now, I feel like we have less distractions. We're dumber in a way. It's like you don't have
yeah.
a lot of things to entertain you. So like I said last time, for me, my entertainment was to go to the pool. That made me happy. So not an iPad, not a phone, not TV. It was going out to the pool.
I mean,
And
that's we didn't have as scheduled a life as now, I think. Um, and well, I'm quite a few batches ahead of you, but
yes.
it yeah, we didn't have centralized training in our time.
Mm, true.
Although we did have to go to national camp, maybe like 2 months before or whatever it was. Um, we get to miss school. Not that I'm advocating missing school. I'm just gonna say
Yes, disclaimer, disclaimer.
disclaimer right there. But it was like you said. Your teammates were uh, your family a lot of the
No, of
time,
course, of course.
and that was it. It was school. You train. You know, less of the scheduling or I don't know if over scheduling is the right word for some.
Yeah, that's true.
It's a
I mean,
possibility.
then again, we can't really blame the parents these days because that's the kind of opportunity that I think every parent wants for their kids, you know,
Yeah, it's like
so
expose them to
do
many
everything you possibly
things.
can.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything under the sun. You know, you got violin at 2 p.m., then 3 p.m. you have English, then at 4 p.m. you have training, then at
Training.
7 you have math and, you know, that kind of thing.
It's tiring.
Um, yeah,
But
I mean, again, like I spoke to a couple of parents. Obviously, I'm biased towards swimming, but as a person, you know, I want to try and understand the mindset that some of these parents have, and I really can't blame them. You know, if you have the resource, why not give your child, you know, every opportunity that you can afford them? And I do agree with that. The only problem is, yes, ultimate at 5:30. The only problem is that unfortunately sometimes it gets a little too much for kids. It gets a little way too much, you know. And again, they're only kids. You know, you want them to excel in 1,000 things. Some kids can handle the pressure. I was definitely not one of them. I had two things to do, which is swimming and schooling, and even I failed at one of them.
um, I mean, the way I look at it is when they're really young, like, you're talking about lower primary or anything, let them try
Correct.
whatever it is. And then as they get older, maybe, you know, streamline the whole thing.
Correct.
Depends what they really want.
The problem is when a kid is too good at everything, so you don't know
Yeah, you
which one to
can't.
choose.
Yeah.
You have those geniuses from time to time, and I've seen a couple of examples of that. Good at swimming, you know, good at violin, good at piano, you know, good at
Sports.
sports, other sports, good at football, basketball, and then you're like,
Mutants. They're just mutants.
exactly. But then again, it gets to the point where, in a way, they kind of suffer from their own genius, I think. It's like they get to a point where I don't know what to do, and then for all of a sudden, everything breaks apart.
Yeah, it's coping with, I think, coping with, or learning to cope with different expectations and how to manage expectations. I think that's the struggle with a lot of things
Ooh,
these days.
sorry. Taka says hi.
Hello, Taka. I had lamb the other day from Abby and him. It's really good. You need to try it. Like a bit of advertising there for you, my friend. So yeah, I mean, I'm looking at your, you're still the existing fly record holders, national record holders to this day.
Yeah. Yeah, had my 10 years anniversary last year, so pretty happy with that. But then I think it's time to go. I think that those three records need to come down.
Yeah, all you kids out there, right? If you're
Exactly.
listening,
Somebody
it's
somebody
about
needs to do it.
time somebody, and the 1500 can
All right, it's
that's
yeah.
been there like
I
foreverness.
actually shouldn't say anything because that 1500 has been there since what 1991, 1990. Jeez,
I don't know. I have to ask.
that's
93,
yeah, yeah.
93.
So I had my 10-year anniversary. And that record is about to have its 30th year anniversary.
It's
Oh my
like,
God.
yeah, and I think my sister's Group 1 800 record in Penang is still there. I
Oh,
think
still there?
age group, yeah, I think. It was like a year plus ago that I saw the thing. I was like, really? No, I didn't break it. Sorry. But yeah, I was like, oh, okay. Y'all gotta work harder. Come on.
Yeah, you all need to be obsessed. You all need to be bald.
Someone's
Yeah,
got to sim the 200 fly.
exactly. You
Oh
know,
man.
these days kids are so afraid of the fly. I'm trying to change that. I really am. You know, I feel like it's more of an environmental thing where, The minute coach says fly, all the other kids are like, oh my goodness, it's fly. Oh, we're all gonna die.
Well,
And
it's not
then,
like I don't say that now either, but
yeah.
you know.
And then the younger kids pick up on it, and then all of a sudden it's like they don't. Some young kids haven't even swim fly yet, and then you ask them, it's like, what's your least favorite stroke? Butterfly. Why? It's like, I don't know. It's just tiring. I'm like, but you haven't really swum it yet. But yeah, it's tiring. I don't get it. Oh,
Uh,
Keenan. Sorry, Keenan has a question. Best tips for underwater dolphin kick.
you asking me?
Oh, Keenan. I think Keenan. Yeah.
Yeah, Keenan. Well, both of us can answer this one.
You go ahead. You want to go first? How
Keenan
about
needs
paper,
to.
scissors, shoot?
um, for me, knowing Keenan as well, you have to work on your hip, your undulation and your hip flexors, my boy. Yeah, he had the dry land this morning, much to his horror. Yeah, I mean, I used to do fly as well. I seem to do a lot of things. And, having that undulation and constant practice. I mean, you can't beat practice. And doing the different drills and not complaining when I give them to you, or a coach gives them to you as well. Yeah, I mean, that's the synopsis version. Nothing beats practice.
Correct. I actually do. I think one of the best things anybody can tell you to do is just do more of it. If you want to get good,
correct.
correct.
Make sure it is there, and if there's additional stuff that you need to do, whether it's strength and conditioning, and specifically where the areas that is your weakness, is part of the whole building your technique thing, and then the rest of it is practice. And then you can chase the 200 fly, Keenan.
Yeah, I actually think
so much trouble today.
there's this young kid in the national team right now that I think has a pretty good chance. He's very young. His name is Zheng Yong or something like that. Lo Zheng Yong. I think he's got a good chance. I think he's very, very young. He's swimming at 2:02 for the 200 fly now, or 2:01 or something like that. So I think he's very, very close. Yeah. The barrier is always that 2-minute mark for the 200 fly, at least during my time. Back then when I broke the 2-minute mark, the first time went under 2 minutes, 1:59.4. I actually got to 47th in the world for the 200 fly. Oh, okay. So Darshini has a question. This is the question you asked that time.
Yeah,
right.
But we can expand on it if you so wish.
Sorry?
We can expand on that.
Oh, yeah. Why do you think your time is still unbeaten? I think people are just too afraid of pain. No, I'm kidding. No. That's really not... No, the Tour de Fly.
The Tour de Fly, my friend, is a challenge event.
I remember one of our coaches, he was like, "Oh, you want to train for the Tour de Fly? It's basically just a way to see who can handle more pain." That was it. So the more pain you can handle, the Tour de Fly is your event. But I think these days,
that's like nobody wanted to swim it, and like that, and the 400 IM, and the distance is like, okay, you do lah. Okay.
Correct. And I think it's just this general fear of the 200 fly, because in freestyle, backstroke and breaststroke, if you get a little too tired, you can just chill out for a bit. You can glide. And fly, once you're dead, you're dead. There's almost no moving at all. Exactly.
When you that drowning fly where your hands don't come up and.
Correct.
Yeah, we've all been through that. And
Brandon says hi.
They haven't seen him in a while. We haven't seen a lot of these kids in a while.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you've
It's
seen more.
just, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, 200 fly is like one of those challenge events that
Yeah. I think the
has a
200
stigma.
fly, the 200 fly, I feel like it does take guts. It does take guts to swim that event together with the 400 IM. I always think that the 400 IM and the 200 fly is where, we separate the men from the boys
Oi.
in a way, you know. But the
Hey.
200 fly
Yeah.
especially is just because of the, I feel like there's a different sort of mentality that you need to get into. You have to be prepared to understand that, you know, slowing down substantially is part of the race. Until
Yeah.
and unless you've swum that much fly that you are a back ender in a 200 fly, um, which I don't think a lot of people are. Uh, you know,
It's
I
a
I used to
survival
have,
event, right?
yeah, it's definitely, it's really the case of who gets slower the least.
Yeah. Who
Yeah,
survives for
who
the
survives.
longest
Yeah.
before the end?
Oh,
I was
well,
asking,
another question. My
what's your
favorite
favorite moment?
moment when I swam. I don't think I have one particular moment. I have a few. So bear with me. I think the first one is generally my whole swimming career. I think I definitely enjoyed the swimming part of my life. Like Coach Leah said, when you go and train with a team, that team becomes your family. Your brothers, your sisters. Like for example, Coach Kevin, who's on here. I've been friends with Kevin since we were Group 3, so probably about 12 years old. And look at us now, right? The only thing that has changed is he still has hair. I don't. So,
And he grew a bit more.
and he grew a bit more. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
slightly taller than me. Yeah, slightly, very slight. Hey, hi
I mean,
Beverly.
that's you build lifelong friendships,
Correct.
or you should. I mean,
Ooh, Adam says hi.
it's hi.
Yeah.
It's. I mean, I've obviously been alive a lot longer, but I have friends or teammates or swimmers that since I was 7, or usually 12 when you start is when you start doing the interstate thing. I mean,
Mm-mm.
and you get to know, and they're still friends to today, and that's what I mean. That's one of the things you would want your as a swimmer or as a child or a parent you'd
Yep.
want to experience,
Correct.
because I mean it teaches you. Well, I'm gonna like lecture now, but you know knowing more about the community, more
Mm.
about the different teams, rivals in the pool, friends outside the pool, which in theory you should learn, hopefully.
Hi, Audrey. Audrey isn't there. Sorry. I'll get to one more. I think the next moment was at I think this might be pretty obvious, at the 2009 Sea Games in Laos. Um, that's when I think I did pretty well on that Sea Games. It was just everything just kind of fell into place. It wasn't forced. Um, yeah, so uh, when you train, this is what I always try to get my athletes to imagine. You train and train and train. Sometimes you lose your sense of purpose. 3 months of training, 6 months of training, a year, 2 years, 3 years, you forget what you're training for. You don't see improvement, you don't get better on a day-to-day basis, but that's absolutely normal. And you just got to keep grinding. You just got to keep going, because there will be one day where it'll all be worth it. And for me, it was that year in 2009. Uh, I did well at World Championships, and then I continued that form into the 2009 Sea Games. And that's when everything kind of accumulated together. And yeah, years and years of hard training. I wouldn't trade those moments for anything in the world. Yep.
I mean, Heidi was talking 2 weeks ago. She was talking about um, there was one. I think it was the Rio, that uh, the struggle she had to get there. It was meaningful to her in the sense it's not necessarily, the position she got, the whole win or whatever it is the struggle that she went through to get there, and she got there, and she did, and that was a meaningful moment
Correct.
of that time. So, moments will stick out to you for various reasons, right? It could be, when the culmination of all the suffering and blood and tears and whatever it is, in that whatever time frame it is. But then there are other moments where, because somewhere in between you tend to hit a plateau, it happens to
All the
people.
time. All the
All the
time.
time, even to, world level people. It's there. It happens. It's how you keep going and, right, okay, maybe I need to adjust this and that, and everything's a
Correct.
learning journey kind of thing, right? So yeah, just keep working
Correct.
hard, practice, show up.
And I
Something.
don't, yeah, I do want to say one thing here for the ones who are listening in, for the swimmers. I cannot stress enough. I mean, this is also what I'm trying to teach, what I'm trying to get people to understand is that a competition is not a death sentence. A competition is not the end of a line, no matter what competition, especially when you're still young, you're under the age of 25. Realize I said under the age of 25, not under the age of 15. Okay. You know, uh, the competition should be where you learn things about yourself, how to get better, not look up at the scoreboard, and see an improvement in your time. Of course, you do well, you improve, you win a medal, you win gold. Congratulations, that's really awesome. But it's more so about trying to get better. Okay, and I think that's the hallmark of great athletes. You go into a race, even if you won, even if you did your best and you beat everybody else by a mile, if you can sit down and say and pick apart your race and say, oh, I could have done this better, why
I
is this
learned
like
that
this?
this is what I need to work on, and this
Yeah,
is, yeah.
correct, correct. And then you go back to training and then you have something to work for. Because the opposite is true. A lot of kids think that, oh, I don't do well this competition. Oh, that's it. That's it. I can never get better.
Because you
That's
can't PB all the time.
correct, correct.
It's not a thing if you feel that you know how to look at your race or what you did in the run up, or like you said,
Yep,
learn about yourself and what I could do better, or what, oh, I did this, my
exactly.
turns were better, my dot, whatever it
Yep,
is, you can
yep,
say to yourself, okay, this is
exactly,
good.
exactly.
And I think people do tend to get caught up in the whole must win at all costs, and I got to do this, and every time I have to PB and all this stuff, and not look
Mm,
at, like you said, what can I learn from this?
mm,
Uh, maybe I went out too fast. Maybe
correct.
I didn't. You know, um, it's thinking.
Yeah.
Be a
It
thinking
actually
swimmer.
actually bothers me a lot that I think this is not a trend among young swimmers. Among young swimmers, the trend is, oh, I didn't do well this time. I don't know. I don't think I can do well. But
It's only
that's why
one
I
race.
exactly, it's one race, it's one meet. Even if you have five bad meets, right? You don't
It
improve
happens.
for a year. It happens. And this is where you gotta learn. You gotta understand, go back to your race and understand what you're not doing right, what you need to do, what you need to change. And then instead of complaining and whining or not improving, go and get it done. Hey, Siwei.
I see.
Yeah.
It's. I think. Um, I don't know. I'm trying to think of. Yeah, people don't understand. A lot of times it's a journey. You know,
Definitely is.
14, 15. I mean, these days you can swim for longer as a competitive swimmer. And so, not being a rush per se. Um, you know,
Yeah, and yeah,
it's a
this is
journey.
where I always tell parents like, fine, you do well, your kid does well in group four and group three, you win 10 gold medals at all the meets, and then what? Yeah, is that are you gonna win an Olympic gold? Right.
It's
Yeah.
a long, long
And
way.
yeah, and this is where I always like to use Coach Kevin as an example. So for people who don't know, I don't know if Coach Kevin is tuning in. I don't know, but I can confidently say I whooped Coach Kevin's butt all the way until open swimming, from group
He
three
was
all the way
saying
past
in
group
his,
one.
he was on a few weeks ago, which you were
Yeah,
late to, my friend.
I'm sorry. Yeah, so
He was saying he was a very late bloomer, if you like.
I wouldn't say a late bloomer. I think
Well, that's
he
what he
took
was. Yeah.
the most, I would say, the most perfect path you can take. He peaked right where he needed to, you know, and I think out of all the swimmers um, that I know of, I mean, especially in the national team, he's the healthiest. Everybody knows I've had shoulder issues. I've had both my shoulders operated on.
You're a
Coach
flyer.
Kevin never had any of those. So he trained and trained and trained. He stayed consistent. He was the most consistent swimmer among us. Meet after meet after meet, he would go there, do his thing, come back, try harder, and eventually he broke my national record in the 400 free, and till this day he's still faster than me in the 400 free.
He's,
So
yeah, I mean, even in our open water, he's still
exactly.
ahead
And
of
the
us.
thing is, he's healthy. That's the point I want to really
Long
really
term.
emphasize. Correct, right? He doesn't have shoulder issues. The only issue I think I've known is his back. That was because he did a very very ridiculous thing. But I'm not going to talk about that.
We'll talk about that on the quiet, okay?
Sure. All right. So that was the extent of his injury. That was it. He stayed healthy the longest. Obviously, to be swimming 10K open water into your late 20s, that's a very big achievement. That's not something the body easily recovers from. So and yeah, and that's really the point I'm trying to make, in the sense that, yeah, don't make young swimmers swim at normally fast just for the sake of winning.
Yeah.
You
I
know,
mean, because you want them to have a lifelong, as long a career as possible,
correct.
or if not a lifelong
Yeah,
thing. And I think I guess you can get a little carried away, and the kid gets carried away, like, oh, I have all these nice shiny things, or, all this stuff. But if kids start having injuries and all these things at 10, 11, it's
yeah,
not really, well, it won't become a lifelong thing, will it?
correct.
Well, may not. But, I mean, even if you look at a lot of the present day Olympians, or even Michael Phelps, they started much later age, as in the whole winning. Okay, let's not use Michael Phelps as a
Actually, that was a interesting thing about that. I actually read a research, or it's more like a statistic, you know. Long-term athlete development. I mean, athletes who went through the whole long-term athlete development program, right? Accounts for about, I don't know, the numbers that they thrown were like 70% of the elite level swimmers, or something like that, at the highest level, at Olympic level, right? But then you have the 0.5%, or the 1%, or something like that, some ridiculously low number of kids who went through brutal training when they were young, and they did really really well when they're young, and carried it over.
But
So
that's a tiny,
that's a
tiny
tiny. But
percentage.
here's the thing. the interesting thing about that little article that I read was this 1% accounted for a huge number of the gold medalists at the top level,
out there.
right?
But it's so rare
It's
that
so rare. It's so rare. It's yeah, like I said, it's just a very minuscule percent. It's so minute, you
I
know.
was reading Missy Franklin recently was saying that she can't, her shoulders are completely busted, which
Mm,
is not really what you want because this is the only body you will have, in
correct.
theory, for the rest of your life. So, obviously we will push ourselves, you will do this, but be smart about that, especially as a growing swimmer.
Correct. Correct.
You still have to go through puberty, you still have to, your body will change. Sometimes, swimmers who start with one event will switch to another after a certain time, or as you get older, and hopefully longer career.
Yep. We'll see.
Would be good. We'll see.
Changing the lives of one swimmer at a time.
Yes.
All right, so Audrey, so sorry, Audrey, I've been meaning to get to your question. So sorry about that.
Sorry, we got that.
So, did you study your competitors and strategize on what to do before a big meet? Very good question, and yes, I did. Um, I know it may sound a little try hard to some kids or to some other swimmers or athletes, but I think in order to be a good competitor or a great competitor, you need to bring your best to the table. And in order to bring your best to the table, you need to know who you're up against. I mean, swimming is a sport where your opponent does not directly affect your results. It's not like tennis or badminton, or martial arts, where if your opponent is playing or doing doing their sport at the highest level on that day, there's almost nothing you can do, right? So for them, studying your opponent is probably a bit more important. In swimming, again, like I said, your opponents don't directly affect your results, but you need to study them in the sense that if you're swimming an event, like let's say for example, the 200 free or the 400-meter freestyle, you need to know who's going to be out there first, who's going to be asking questions in the first half of the race. And then, do you want to answer those questions? Do you want to go along with them or you want to hold back? Like, again, Coach Kevin and I, we've been swimming together for so long. We both know how each other swims. And it's made for some incredible results. I think that time where he broke my national record at the 2013 Malaysia Open, right? That was, I think, I definitely would have loved to want to win, that race. But it's definitely up there with one of my favorite moments, like I will ask just now. So I'm more of a 200 swimmer, so I have a lot more speed than Coach Kevin, right? But Coach Kevin is a 1500 swimmer. He's going to last till the end. That's no question about it.
And
So
he's
my
a very
oh, I
smart
was bald. No, I was
strategist.
not bald at that time. I still had hair. So yeah,
He's a strategist.
yeah. Then again, we both were strategists at throughout our
Indeed.
career. So for me, my strategy was I need to get away from him. I need to distance myself because I have the speed. you know. So I got away from him in the first 200, and I knew he was going to come back at me at the third 100. And lo and behold, he did. But I didn't expect him to come back at me that hard. He came back at me and then some more. He actually overtook me. So it was all down to that last 100 where if people know me from my swimming days, I have a very big back end. I like to chase people down. That was one of the races where I just couldn't chase Coach Kevin down.
He's
Even though I lost, I was really, really happy for that race.
But it's one of those races that there's nothing else you could have done in the sense that
Correct.
from your own personal race, right? And then
Yep.
just that day, and because when you have that kind of a race where you just sit there and go, whoa, this is happening, and and it's exciting. It's
Yeah,
awesome.
definitely. I actually have, if you want to talk about literal, I actually have a very small backhand. I think that
He
helps in
just
a
has
way.
a shiny head.
It helps in a way. It keeps me streamlined. So,
I mean, that's the thing, right? Your race is never over until you touch the wall.
correct.
You everything, like I say to some of the kids, right? Everything will be dying sometimes. You're like, oh my god, especially to butterfly. You're like, can I raise my head anymore? I just gotta, that it isn't over till you touch the wall. Sometimes, like he did, came in, that last bit, as it were, and just took it.
Yep.
And that's how it is. And you can't fault yourself. That's something that I think sometimes some of the swimmers may struggle with. Is like, you swam your own perfect race. That will happen. It's just someone else. It happens. Just that, that's how it is. They swam their perfect race, as it were, and that's how it is. And the ability is like, you two are the dynamic duo. I always call you that. It's like Robin and Batman.
Was going ball part of your strategy? Actually, no. I never in my life thought I would be going bald, but it happened, and oh well. I think I started going bald when I was around, actually early 20s, early 20s. So kids, wear your cap when you're swimming. Okay, take care of your hair. If not, you're gonna end up like. Why am I saying that is like such a bad thing? It's not a bad thing. It's good.
It's not a bad thing. The bald look is, in now. Not that I'm going to shave my head, people.
Well, I've been told that I do have a pretty good head. So
Okay. Let's not go there either. Let's. Today's actually World Swim Day, or the 24th.
Oh really? Okay.
Yes. Hello,
World
not
Swim
Happy
Day.
Word Swim Day. Hope. World Swim Day. Yeah, this year, unfortunately, we can't do the in water. But happy World Swim Day to all you swimming people out there. And hopefully, if all goes well, we will be able to get back in the water and the sea. Well, in my case. You're going to swim in open water one day, right? I know you did.
I actually.
Hello, you are okay.
That's the thing. I've swum in the Rajang River too many times already. So.
You gotta do the sea thing.
Yeah. Open water.
Do it for the hell of it.
I actually quite enjoy. What I enjoy most is the community of the open water. I will say that it's like, because I was involved with open water from my Kimberley's triathlon days. Got to swim the relay.
Yeah, I've done the relays. They're fun.
Yeah. They're
fun.
fun. They're absolutely fun. It takes the stress away. But knowing my personality, I like the sort of the precision of pool swimming. It's more like, okay, you get one thing wrong, you miss one turn, that's it, you're out. In open water swimming, it's the same thing. I think open water swimming is definitely also, you have to be precise, turning at the buoys, looking up, not going off course and things like that. I just feel that it gives you a little bit more leeway, just a tiny bit more leeway to make a couple mistakes. But then the same thing, if you make too many mistakes, that's it, your race is done.
Yeah.
You have a bit of time, a bit of distance to get it back. Versus, in a, I don't know, 100-meter freestyle in the pool, you miss your turn, that's it, bye-bye.
That's
Yeah. I will miss the chlorine.
It's a different.
Yeah,
sea
I think so. Sea water it's easier to swim in the sea. I will say that it's a lot.
Buoyancy,
Yeah, you're a lot more buoyant. You can keep swimming at a pretty high or fast pace for a pretty long time. That's enjoyable. But what I don't like is if you do like an hour's worth of swimming in the sea, you just get so, I don't know, I cannot explain that feeling. I wish I had a word for that feeling. Like for me, I feel like a dried prune. Just swimming under the sun, plus the salt water, you know. Oh, hey, Clara.
Well, we're gonna get you to try it. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
We'll get Kevin. Yeah, we'll do the. You don't have to do a 10K, Daniel. We're not saying do a 10K. You gotta do it for
I'll do
fun.
a relay for like 500 meters. I'll go. I'll try a 5K one day, maybe. If this heart of mine still allows me to do something like that.
Oh, you'll be fine. It'll be fun.
I don't know.
I will watch you swim with much interest. Well, I'll probably swim as well, but
you better.
Yeah,
you better be.
good. Yeah, I'll swim. Would I not swim? 5K is fun. It's when you get past the 5K.
Yeah, I cannot imagine swimming 10K in one go. I mean,
yeah,
in one go.
But you have to train for that one, but
of course.
And then Kevin will pick on us both, I'm sure.
Yeah, Kevin will be like lapping us.
He'll be doing backstroke because I've seen him do this. He'll do the backstroke and look back at people and then he'll start. He'll be like, later if he watches this, he'll be like, "What are you two doing?" It's like, let's just talk about Kevin. Well, he's not.
Well, we have to. He talked about me the last time, so I have to talk about him this time.
He's a good man. And yes, yeah, he's gonna remind us of. All right, yeah, okay. You. He knows I'd swim it, but we gotta get you. I mean, you gotta challenge yourself from time to time.
I challenge myself enough. I think I challenge myself. I'm literally losing hair over thinking of ways to get my kids to swim faster. So there you go.
Make them swim open water.
We'll try.
It'll be an interesting challenge for them. And
I don't know if my shoulders can hold up. That's my only worry. Like right now, I feel like
I'm not asking you to swim fly, okay? Please don't. There is a couple of people who swim fly for all their open water events. Please don't do that. I do not wish to be.
Now that is a challenge. Now that is definitely a challenge.
Yeah. What was his name? George? I think his name is George. He used to do fly for all open water events. And there was a Korean, was it Korean guy? The Thailand, they did 10K in fly. There are limits to, yeah. I'm not asking you to do fly all the 5K, but unless you're feeling, you're feeling it, you can do the fly for the last bit, just to
showcase.
Show them how it's done.
A little exhibition at the end.
And then we'll have to drag you out of the water after
Probably.
that. Maybe, yeah.
I'll be straight to the hospital.
No, you'll be fine. Yeah, it's good to challenge, step out your comfort zone from time to time, right?
Correct. True.
That's why I tell the kids. Just do it. I mean, even if you do it once in a while, off season or whatever it is, just, do it for fun.
Yeah, I think it's, you still have a few where what do you say, who have their heads screwed up straight or screwed up right, they have a good mindset. But I think generally kids these days, I don't know,
challenge is difficult for them sometimes.
Sorry?
Challenge.
Yeah.
Being challenged or
they see a lot of negatives in things. It's like, oh, I'm tired. I don't like being tired. I don't like pushing myself to this point. Why do I need to do it? They don't see the reward in actually training hard. And
well, it's
to be honest,
thinking, right?
Learning
to be a thinking swimmer.
I think you just need to see. We just need to find a way to how to how do I put this? Get kids to uh, incentivize. Is that the word? Incentivize, something like that. The hard work that they put in. That means uh, you get satisfied. You feel like you've done something when you train hard. I think that's a very, very important mindset to do. A lot of kids these days, they go through a program, they train hard. You can see it in their face where they don't know why they're doing it.
Yeah.
It's like, I trained hard, and then why is this again? Why is coach giving me this set again? That kind of thing. And yeah, correct. They want instant
Instant,
gratification.
yeah.
That's actually right.
And
That's
life
actually
is
quite right.
not instant
And
gratification.
it's definitely not. I think a parent actually asked me this, one time, which I think was a really good question, where she asked, what made you so good? And obviously my first reply was, I was not that good. Trying to be humble. But it's just that I really had a different mindset. And that's why when I first started coaching, especially competitive teams, I couldn't understand why kids were like that. I really had a hard time accepting that kids didn't like training hard.
Training is not meant to be easy.
Well, you tell that to the kids these days, then they'll be, yeah. But then you still have a look of like disbelief in their eyes. You're like, what? Training is not easy? That kind of thing. But yeah, it's very, very different. I can tell you that. I went to every training session to see how much of myself I could destroy, basically. And then go back and have a good night's sleep, and then come back and do it again the next day.
Because I always think that how do you know that you, in a way, you're making progress when you always do the same thing and same bubble, as it were, and imagine if you're doing distance or endurance, you do this and your interval is like, I'll just use 145, right? If you do that interval and then every time for the next whatever year, you only keep sticking to that one thing.
Yep.
How do you know you progress, right? If you don't push. Sometimes
Correct.
you make it, sometimes you don't. And then when you do make it for a longer period of time, you're like, well, I can do it. Now I can do the 130 thing, and I can hold it for this long, and
Correct.
whatever time frame it was. I couldn't do it before. You kind of. How do you know if you don't push?
Correct.
You don't challenge yourself.
Oh, we have another question.
Beverly's question.
Beverly.
Good.
How
Beverly
did you?
is also a fellow Sora kid.
Oh, really? Nice.
Yes, from Kopi.
How did you deal with your burnouts last time when you were competitive? Okay. Ooh, very interesting question. I think this is one of the times where I will say, I don't think I handle it that well. For me, I think I wouldn't say I had burnouts in my career, but I just had a lot of other issues. And I'll go through the issues one by one if we have time.
You have time.
My first issue was obviously my shoulder injuries. Okay. Back then, I didn't know how to take care of myself. I don't think other people knew how to take care of me also, despite being on the national team. Now, that's not a shot at anybody. It's just I don't think we had the knowledge or preparation to deal with something like that. All right. I think everybody did their best to actually look after me and whatnot. So that kept me swimming. But I didn't try to, what do you call it? I didn't try to learn more about myself, about my shoulders.
How your
when
body works.
yeah, how my body works and things like that. I think looking back now, yeah, I mean, I went through a physiotherapy course. I am, actually, funny enough, a qualified physiotherapist.
Well,
Yeah.
that's
So,
something. Yeah.
yeah. So anyway, so, after that, then, learning from a lot of other people, and then I thought, actually, the issue that I had was not that complex. Why did I have to go through all that pain? Why did I have to go, you know, So yeah, I don't think I handled that one that well. I should have been more hands-on, but I mean, what can you expect? You can't expect a 18-year-old kid to be hands-on with injuries. It'd be like, oh, pain. Yeah, just ice it lah. That kind of thing.
And you just keep going, right?
Yeah, yeah.
That's where your coach or your mentors would have come into play in that sense that,
I mean,
the
like at
guidance
that
that you
point in
can
time,
have, which you're trying to do now,
yeah,
is, what, I don't say mistakes, well, okay, some, but, some of the things that you learned in your journey, in your competitive swimming journey, as you're
yeah,
like, okay, I saw this is something I want to address, and, that's what
correct.
you're trying to do downwards, as it were. And it's like you said, it's the thinking thing. Uh, you know, uh, know what your body can or cannot do,
Yeah,
or how best to help it, so that we were talking about lifelong, right? Long career. Um, I don't know. How would
yeah,
you deal with Bert? You're gonna have times in your training cycle where you just bleh, right?
yeah, yeah.
You're dead, especially when
It's
we used to do hell
usually
week.
it's usually about recovery. Um, Most of the time, I think 99% of the time, it's definitely about recovery. Um, Recovering from a previous session, or if you're doing more anaerobic stuff, you need more recovery, especially if you're a little older, if you're an older swimmer, and things like that. Just really, really trying to be dialed in, to be specific, and yeah, take care of yourself.
This is the
And
only
I think
body you've got for the longest
correct.
time, hopefully,
And I
as
think
possible.
the second biggest burnout that I had was after my 2009 Sea Games. I just didn't want to swim. Despite doing so well at Sea Games, the hunger was not there anymore. It was just I was just totally out of it. I didn't want to swim. I didn't want to go to the pool. So I think um,
You needed
what I
that
did,
break
yeah,
to
what I did
recharge and come
was
back.
I took 6 months off, like no swimming at all. I think maybe if somebody would have talked to me and said, "Look, Dan, you don't do this. Let's just do maybe come in twice a week or 3 times a week." I think I would have
Keep
been
it
better
there.
off.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, keep in contact with the water. Because I took just straight 6 months off. No workouts, no swimming, nothing, you know. So I don't think I dealt with that the best. That one's on me. And came back, when I came back, I struggled. I struggled so bad. I was overweight. My shoulder was hurting more than ever because, not doing exercises and things like that.
Was this
Um,
after surgery or before?
this was before surgery, so the year 2010. So yeah, um, yeah, it was just a mess, and then it took me so long to come back to even get to where I was. So if I remain in contact with the water, I think I would have done a lot better. You know, things like that.
I think um, that's why sports psychology has been a growing part of a team well, lineup, if you like, because it is something that I think is acknowledged is needed. Um, like you're saying, if they'd said to you, "Hey, just once or twice a week, just keep that feel, but we're not gonna push you. We're not gonna, you come back when you're ready." kind of thing. So
Mhm.
because I mean, at some stage in a competitive swim, you will burn out. You will be
Yeah,
exhausted.
you will
You're
feel
like,
yuck.
ugh, I've had it enough. You know, um, and it's learning how to deal with it. And I think it's an important part of a coach's arsenal, as well as a team, if that's possible. I mean, it's something that I think is worth learning about.
Definitely.
Um, it's an important thing. Yeah, Mr. Solskjaer.
Boss says the boss of fitness is here. So yeah, I should get my fitness
Hello,
shirt
Mr.
out.
Sol.
So if I can see if I can get
Yeah.
some free stuff.
It's not. I
Uh,
don't have enough Finnish things to cover everything.
so Mr. So says, what motivated me to become a coach and what were the challenges transitioning from a highly competitive swimmer to become a coach? Ooh, very, very nice. So what motivated me to become a coach? Plain and simple, swimming is the only thing I'm good at. So I thought, why not just, after retiring, after going through my own career, why not
It's not
continue
the
with that?
only thing you're good at. No.
I'm also good at losing hair, so but then that one is
Well, now you've solved that
yeah.
conundrum.
So I don't know. It was just for me. It was just a very very natural transition because I'm good at it. I can. I'm not gonna lie. I can earn from it. That's the big thing, also. All right. So yeah, why not? So I picked up coaching, then from learn to swim, and then eventually to competitive side. And yeah, that was the motivation. Also, obviously, because I'm the type that loves to build things. From the games I played from a very young age, I love to build, like as in not just build buildings, but I want to see. Back then, I played Pokemon, right? So I want to see my Pokemon levels go up. I want to see them getting stronger. The kinds of comics I read were also like that. I like to see people come from, come up from the bottom and then now they're here, that kind of thing. Quoting Drake.
Well, it's the journey thing you like. You
Yeah.
see, like the
So
building
yeah,
blocks of
like I said,
putting it
yeah,
together,
correct.
and
So
coaching is another way of doing so,
yep, exactly.
because you will need to constantly learn and relearn, um, as well, right? I mean,
Correct.
because
Yeah. So yeah,
everyone
the
has
kids.
different.
I'm just trying to build the kids up, using whatever method that I can get a hold of. Do we? And it's very nice. Tinkering with their programs. Do I add more anaerobic stuff? Do I add more aerobic stuff? Do I add more power, more capacity? What happens if I put this here? What happens if I take it out? Are they
I
going to
like
get
doing that.
better?
That's the fun part, right?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
it's building worlds. I mean, if you're
Correct.
talking about game analogies, right? You're too young for Age of Empires,
No,
I think.
I actually played it. I
Oh, I
sucked
loved
at
it.
it, but I played it.
It's the satisfaction you get when you're when your whole world is like thriving,
Yeah.
and you
So
get to
yeah,
play with those things.
a little comment on that experiment on kids. I think kids these days really don't appreciate what coaches do for them.
You listening to this? I'm gonna tell them this, but um, no, I mean, like you said, it's it's the journey as a coach too, as an or an educator. It's the same thing that uh, you have to be adaptable, and things are always changing, and it's great to learn new things and try them out. Um, some of my kids are like, "Hey, you're like lab rat." They're like lab rats. I'm like, "Yeah, I'll try this. Oh, what's this like? Let's try this. What
Right.
if I throw this in?" And like the other day we did, we called it Merciless Morning, 3 hours, with like, because back in my time we didn't have drag suits and the parachute things and all those things. So you had clothes, You wore your old clothes, you had your old canvas school shoes, and you would swim with that, and then you had the bucket, the bricks, the whatever. We used to do things, and so I got them to learn how much drag clothes can be. Yeah, man, I was. Yeah.
Yeah, Colombia and coffee.
Yes. And
Definitely.
Popian and.
Oh, Cindy. Hi, Cindy. So Cindy is a good friend of mine. Yeah. So she asked,
Oh, that question.
train my own kids to carry on my legacy. I've always said that if I'm lucky enough to have kids, I it's I think it would be awesome if I could train my own kids, but I think I will not do it. I
I think a lot of the ex-swimmers that we had just talked to over the last few episodes, a lot of them do not swim. The kids.
Mm.
It is very rare, and usually you pass your kids on to. It's not easy to teach your own kids.
I think for me, I don't think knowledge is the hard part. The hard part is trying to differentiate between a parent and child relationship, and also a coaching and swimmer relationship.
Yeah.
There are days that my swimmer is going to be pissed at me, right? For yelling at them, telling them they're not swimming fast enough, or asking them what the hell is going on for missing training. But if you live in the same house, that's a problem, because you yell at your kid at the pool, right? And then you go home, you're like, hey, what's for dinner?
It's like, hey, how you doing? How's your homework?
Exactly.
I taught my own kids in terms homeschooling, and I did not teach them swimming. I was like, no.
Offload.
It's like my dad was like, said to us, you cannot teach your own kids. You just pass it along, let them learn at their own time, and then you'd bring your work home if you like.
Yeah. There are very rare cases where it works. I think Michael Andrews was coached by his dad from a very young age until today. So that's a good dynamic that they have
Like
there.
Gary Hall.
Yeah, Gary Hall. Yep.
It's not common though.
It's not common. It's definitely not common. I feel like I wouldn't be able to go in that path. Yeah, I don't think I can. So it'd be easier to just get the kid away, and then if they have anything to ask, then yes, I'll be able to tell them, like, okay, this is what I did, this is what you can do better, but in terms of training you, get the hell away from me.
And a lot of times they're more likely to listen to someone else.
Correct.
Especially past a certain age, they're more likely to listen to someone else than their parent, as I will tell you.
So the 205 record.
Well, no,
I don't think so.
It
I don't
will
want
happen
it to be
at
safe.
some stage.
I don't want it to be safe. I think couple of guys have come close to it, and no, I'm gonna be honest. Obviously, the butterflies, it's special to me. The records are special to me. I will be lying if I said that, my heart does not skip a beat when somebody comes close to it. It's always going to be something that I treasure. But I'll also be honest to say that I think if a record's not broken for a very long time, it just shows that there's no progress, and that's not good. So I do want to encourage people to go out there, step up, and try. Even though my heart will be broken, but so what?
We'll just get you some Colombian coffee, my friend.
Mr. Saul. Thank you.
Thank you.
We actually have another question.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that one's my girlfriend. I think she's asking that question because I'm not spending enough time with her already. Oh no. Well, babe, if you're actually tuning in, I think you already know the answer. But for me is again, like I explained, people might not think that being a swimming coach is that big of a deal, but for
It's a
me it
huge
is.
commitment.
It needs commitment, and also the other thing is you actually have a hand in developing somebody's future. I always think that again, I had some really really great role models, some really really great coaches from the past, and they really bring something different to the table. The really, really good ones, they care about you. They want to know where you're going in life. They want to know if they can set you up for life. And that for me, I'm very glad that I had the opportunity to go through that. So that's something that I want to pass down. You know, yeah, I as swimming coaches, especially at a competitive, sort of a high level, high competitive level, it's up to you to actually give your kids a career to be proud of. I
You lay
think
the foundation for the
you lay
rest
the
of their life.
foundation for them. Yeah, and you give them the tools that's needed to succeed in this, you know,
In and out,
rather
in and out of the pool.
brutal, yeah, brutal world of swimming, because let's face it, everybody's happy for the ones who are up there, the ones who are winning and things like that. But for the ones who are the middle, it can seem like the toughest thing in the world. So as coaches, you want to be able to say, okay, look, in swimming, I'm just not I'm at the pool, I'm your coach, but outside of it, I want to tell you about, the pitfalls of a little bit of life of here and there, try to avoid the mistakes that I do or that I did, and that kind of thing. And then they have a better life. And I think that's a
Because
yeah.
sporting careers tend to be short.
Yep, exactly. And
And then
they
you
they
follow up,
literally
yeah.
make or break your career, make or break your life. Some people, become millionaires just by being an athlete, by being a sportsman. You know,
It's a
um,
tiny percentage.
tiny percentage, yeah, but there's a pretty big percentage of that also, getting scholarships from schools, from unis, and that's a step up in life. For a kid that does not have anything, if he or she does well, they get scholarships to study, they get all these kind of things where they may not be able to afford because let's face it, education is expensive,
Yeah.
right? I just found out about this and I'm just, but anyway, that's for another discussion. But yeah, so for somebody who doesn't have a lot of resource, sports and all these kind of things can be a step up for them, a stepping stone in life. And I think that is absolutely wonderful and absolutely important.
Like you said, you're laying the foundation stones for not just their swimming career, but in and out of the pool. How they
Correct.
handle things. You do well and all this, but then you might get the scholarship, but when you get to how do you handle yourself? At some stage,
Exactly.
your competitive swimming career will end. How are you going to cope with this? Do you have, Michael Phelps famously went off the rails a little bit.
I think we all do. I
Post.
mean, at the end of my career, I can say the same thing.
Because it can be all consuming.
Yes.
It can be very, and if you don't necessarily, whether the support network around the swimmer, whether it's your coaches, your parents, or any other mentors that they have, if they've not laid this foundation, or they know that they're there if needed, the coping mechanism is probably the phrase I would use, but when it stops, what do you do with your life?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
That's
you're not a
yeah.
failure, or you are a sum of many parts. There will be many aspects to you. You are not just a swimmer. You will have, and you should allow that.
I wish somebody told me that.
Well, I didn't know you then. Sorry. You're too young. It's a case of, you know, they need to from time to time they need to be reminded that they're not just a swimmer. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't like
Yeah.
using just, but
That's
you know,
actually a very, very good point. That's actually a very good point.
and that is what a lot of people will struggle with, whether it's in sports or anything else. If something is taken away from you that you've spent giving yourself a lot to, and then it gets taken
Oh,
away,
of course, yeah.
what do you
Um,
do? It can be
exactly.
anything. I mean, sports obviously is
Yeah,
because
any kind of sports, you know. I always
yeah,
equate this to like a racehorse, for example. You know, you've been bred your whole life to race, to do one thing, and then if that one thing gets taken away from you, what happens then? You know,
can you
so
cope?
yeah, can you cope?
Or
Uh,
do you have coping mechanism? I mean, it's always think support networks are very important.
Support networks, and also I think it's just getting understanding other people, understanding where other people came from. You know, what are the
Learn from
experiences of
before,
others?
yeah,
Yeah, the ones who came before you, what did they do? And that's why
whether
I
it's
think
good or
it's,
bad, right?
yeah,
You
whether it's
know
good or
not
bad.
to do it. Yeah,
Correct, correct. I think towards the end of my, correct, you're not just jelly fodder. Towards the end of my career, I also had now, this is a rather intimate moment, I think, for me. When Wilson actually came, uh, took over from my batch, like for me and Coach Kevin,
yeah.
um, there was definitely a sense of like, what the hell is going on? Like, you know, if I think that's also part of me because I've been in spotlight for, you know, for quite a number of years, and suddenly at one point, you're not the best anymore, or you're not where you're supposed to be anymore, and somebody is doing it better than you.
But that's the
You know,
journey that happens,
yeah,
right?
that is your journey, and you know, only after a couple of years, I think this was towards the end of my career, then I finally understood, well, it happens, you know, it has to happen. You know, that means something good is
There's
happening
always
because
someone faster, better, stronger, or just
exactly.
that day, right?
And it should be that way. It really needs
Yeah.
to be that way. You know, Wilson is just a better built swimmer than I am. You know, he's got a lot more physical gifts. He's got, you know, big hands, big feet. He's tall, you know, everything that I don't have. You know,
Yeah,
so
but you've got the streamline head.
I've got a streamline. So I think, yeah, all the best to him. And yeah,
Yeah,
so that was
I think it's you know, it's something that a lot of current athletes perhaps um, I'm not sure about regionally, but do not realize that there will come a time
right.
when
People are
you
going to
are,
surpass you, right? And you have to give it up. It's not that you have to, but you want to sort of go out on your own terms.
yeah, you need
Yeah,
to, you know, when you're ready, when you feel that, you know, and know that your life will change again
yeah.
after you stop.
And
Um,
when you stop, it's not the end of you.
no,
I
it's a new
think
journey,
that's a very, very big thing.
right?
It
It's a
took
new
me quite a
beginning.
while to realize that. Um, you know, God bless my girlfriend for going through that phase with me.
Yeah, you're lucky she put up with you, I think.
I know, exactly. You know, so I would say it was a very confusing time. But yeah, you know, you try to again, it's a mindset change.
Yeah.
It's a change from, oh, why is this happening to me, to, okay, I gotta start something new. You know, it's
And that
just,
scares a lot of people, I think.
yeah,
The fact that, especially if your whole life
correct,
has been wrapped around this one thing, and it is literally pretty much your whole life.
absolutely.
Um, and that is not necessarily taken away, it could be greatly diminished. I mean, like you
Hmm.
say, you know, now we can lifelong swim, but um, a lot of times it's a struggle with identity. Well, I know it sounds such a sweeping thing to say, but a struggle with identity. If you've been here so far and that's been your identity and that's what, you know,
Correct.
uh,
You know,
rather
and
than
it's
you're a sum of many parts. You are not just
Especially
one.
that part was like, you're in this world, you're somebody, and then all of a sudden in this next world, you're just like everybody else. It's not that
It's a bit
that's a
of,
bad
yeah.
thing, but you've come from up here and all of a sudden you're down here now. You have to work your way back up. And I think a lot of people struggle with that, me, including me. So yeah,
And
but
it's a natural, it is a very natural
it's a very natural
thing.
thing.
And,
Yeah,
and I think something that we should try and prepare younger swimmers for as their career
correct.
begins, to be aware that they're not just the next race. They're not just.
But I think the current batch are doing a pretty solid job of that. I think, talking about Wilson, he's a good-looking dude. He's got multiple sponsors. If anything happens to his swimming career, I'm pretty sure he has a career in the media industry or the modeling industry, for God forbid.
Which is also a short term. But it's being smart about it.
Correct.
And I think, like you said, learning from those who came before and realizing, this is what happened for some, and knowing that, okay, maybe that's not what I want to do. What do I do about it for myself? Because obviously each one has different circumstances to work around. But being aware that there is a life after swimming.
Yes.
Whether, like I said, you can still come back to swimming. So Wilson, if you want to come back to master swimming after you retire, can. Okay.
Yeah.
Just saying.
You probably turn into a movie star or something like that. Knowing that boy, he's just got the luck for it. I think he's born under a very, very good star or something like that.
I mean, that's one way you have to learn to, especially in this day and age, right? How you handle yourself on social media. How do you
right. There's that
people
thing
that you
too.
meet?
Yeah. Damn, I
This
hate
is
social
what we
media.
were talking about, right? The art of communication and, asking questions, and how do you talk to your coaches or your swimmers? And the whole idea of that needs something to, work on or consider. I think, anyway, that's my view. We're getting serious now.
Yeah, we are. It's getting pretty
We're
dark.
getting philosophy and, yeah, we should return to the bald man thing.
Let's go.
Are all the bald men swimmers like flyers, like Michael Klim and Jeff
I don't know,
Hubel
but I think
Brent Hayden is a flyer.
Brent Hayden is a freestyler.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think Brent Hayden, he won World Championship in 2007, I think. Either 2007 2009. I think that's when he tied with the Italian guy for 100 free, I think, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere around there. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he
So,
came out of
we do-
retirement,
we
did he
do-
not, for ISL, right?
No, he's not in the ISL. I don't think so. Brent Hayden.
I thought. Oh, am I getting confused with another? Yeah, because I saw his social media thing. But yeah, that's the only
But-
competition they have right now, right? ISL.
Yeah.
Things like that. But yeah,
Yeah.
so kids, we're not really saying shave your head for.
Please don't. Yeah, I'll get into trouble with your parents. And what have you done to my kid?
Unless you're raising money for charity and you
Yeah, that's
are
absolutely
willing to do
acceptable.
that, then that's fine. I have friends who have done that. Brave people. I'm
Yeah.
not. I mean, I've had short hair, but
Well, for me, I think if there's anybody facing the same thing, I don't know, you losing hair or whatever, it's fine. It's really fine. It's really fine. Just shave it all off and then that's it. What's it gonna do? Nothing.
yeah. I mean,
You get a couple comments here and there, but oh well. I swear, when I went to the meeting in KBS, the first thing like the what do you call it, the pengusaha majlis, the
Mm.
host was like, hey, Bego, rambut dah tak ada eh? It's like, really? In a meeting of this magnitude, the first thing you comment on is my hair. I was like,
Because you're special that way, Daniel. You know.
apparently. Oh, Joyce. Thank you, Joyce.
Hi, Joyce. It is important. Like as Daniel was saying, you learn from those who've been through the journey before you, and it's good to talk
Oh,
about.
okay, cool. Brent Hayden is in the
See,
ISL with
so,
Titans.
so you
Ah,
need to be a
nice.
machi social media, my friend. That's
Aduh,
it.
I cannot lah.
Oh.
I cannot with social media. I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
just I don't know. I have a love-hate relationship with social media.
I
I
know
love it for the
it's
fact that it's good to promote things,
it's a
right?
good
It's good.
connection tool if you
It's
need
yeah,
to,
it's good
and a
to get
communication tool. Yeah.
attention. But I feel like uh, don't quote me on this, but I'm gonna say it
You're
on
on
live
live
anyway.
stream. Don't quote you on this,
I
Daniel.
know, but still, don't quote me on this. But I'm still gonna say it on live stream.
Okay. It
This
shouldn't be all
it,
consuming,
no,
right?
it's really turning this generation into like you know uh, me generation, pun intended, right? It's everything is me, me. Look at me, look at me,
And
look at
that's
me.
where the instant gratification often comes from.
Correct, correct. Look at me. I want more likes. I want more likes. Oh, this video is not doing well. Not likes. I delete it. Let me do it again. You're like that's different if you're creating like a video.
Content.
That yeah. I mean, to them, dancing in front of the camera is creating content. But I don't know. For me,
So
no
you
hate on
didn't
the.
join your swimmers in the TikTok challenge during the whole.
Ironically, I'm actually gonna actually appear on a TikTok. I think it's for my swim company. So, oh well, don't worry.
No, I was like, they were like, Coach Leah, join lot. I'm like, no, thanks. It's okay.
Exactly.
I'll watch
So
y'all, and y'all carry on.
correct, correct.
And yeah, yeah,
Love to hate social media.
it has its,
Well, I don't
plus.
hate it. Yeah, I don't hate it. As a whole, I just don't like the sense that uh, a lot of kids are putting an external, an extrinsic, what's that word? Extrinsic reward as more important. The likes of people, how famous you are, how popular you are, how many views your videos get, instead of working on what's inside, being happy with themselves. And I feel like this is not good in terms of psychology. I'm again, I'm not any psychologist. I have no degree, no diploma, yada yada yada. But we always compare the extrinsic to the intrinsic. If you're happy with yourself, you're gonna be happy anywhere or whatever you do. But if you all your life, or especially some of the young kids now, in their young
The
life,
number
it's
of
all
likes
about
that you
yeah,
get
getting people
is
to
I'm
like you
popular.
based on yeah,
Yeah.
you know,
Well, if their self worth is tied into
the
their
likes, the
the
how
likes, the
popular
social
I
media
am.
presence, then you know, um, I mean, and the thing is, these days, as I've always told any of my students and my own kids, is what you post online will come back to you.
Stays online, yeah.
It stays online, and when, like you said, when your career is over, and employers will look at your social media as part of it these days. So, you know, I mean, I think it's something, we're tying into the whole communication and be a thinking swimmer and
Mm.
think about what do you post? How do you post? Is it, I mean, it's fine if you, look at who's talking. But you think about what you're putting out there as well.
Mm.
And like I said, if your self-esteem and your worth seems to be tied into that, and is not necessarily carried off, like you said, the in and the out, outward, then something to think about, I think. We're getting philosophical again.
Yeah, we are.
Dude, come on.
Go back to the bald. Go back to the bald things.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, you could swim a lot faster in open water if you.
That's actually quite true. I think.
But you'd have to put like extra sunscreen on, man.
Yeah, I'll just put some sunscreen.
Sunscreen.
Yeah. Banana boat, just sprayed on.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's. I think it's important to think. I always talk about thinking swimmers. Think about things. And it's something that as coaches or as a mentor or, that hopefully you will guide the next, present and next generation onwards.
Well,
and cool, that's, we've had a long session today. Awesome. So I think we will wind it down.
Cool.
For today. Unless there's anything else. No, that's it.
No, I think that's it.
And I want to say thank you to my sponsors, of course, Finis Malaysia and Swimshop to You, Real Out Play, and you can get discounts. We all like discounts. Swimshop to You, the discount code is Dugong, 10% off, and if you get Sankt Band and as well as finished products at PTT Outdoor, CBL Sports, you'll also get 10%. Yay, discount. Awesome. And thank you very much, Daniel, for joining me today.
Thank you, Leah, for
really
inviting me.
Fun and philosophical discussion. It's been good. And we'll see you guys again next week. And we'll say goodbye.
All right.
Bye.
See you guys. Bye.